Welcome to the Bariatric Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kristen Lloyd, mindset mentor, somatic coach, and transformational guide for those on the path to true healing. Whether you've had weight loss surgery or on GLP-1s or simply seeking a new way forward with food and your body, this space is for you. This podcast is a mission to change the narrative, unlearning the patterns that no longer serve you, moving beyond quick fixes into deep, embodied healing, lasting mindset shifts, and true self-leadership. We are healing from the roots, rewiring the mind, regulating the body, and returning home to ourselves. We are here for growth rooted in honesty and self-trust because that, my friends, is the foundation of healing. So grab your cup of joe or your H2O and let's go. Hey everyone, on today's Bariatric Mindset Success podcast, I am joined by guest Tosha Stafford, and I wanted to do a quick introduction so you could get to know her a little before the podcast episode. She is going to be introducing herself through her journey and sharing what she has learned on the way. Tosha Stafford, the Regain Coach, is also the founder of Bari Fit, Winning Against Regain, the Success Playbook, and the Back on Track Challenge. Tosha had never planned on becoming a coach. Her beginnings come from a corporate background, and her highest recorded weight, she says, is 299, but she also knows she way over 300. She felt stuck in her own body, avoiding pictures, avoiding life, and wondering if she'd ever feel normal again. The truth most people don't tell you is what Tosha shares. Surgery isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. And what she learned after having multiple medical complications is how to pull herself out of the trenches and get back to her basics. And it wasn't perfection that saved her, it was structure, mindset, and daily action. Her mission is simple: to help women stop feeling like they've failed surgery or that their surgery failed them, to get them back into structure that actually works, to teach them to rebuild confidence and show up in their lives again, and remind them that weight loss doesn't define them, courage does. She shares with people, you don't need another diet. You don't need someone yelling at you about carbs. You need someone who gets it, who's been in the regain spiral, climbed out, and built a framework that works in real life. And her final reminders were not defined by the weight we've lost, but by the strength and courage it took to begin. So without further ado, let's get this episode started. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Tosha Stafford, everyone. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Bariatric Mindset Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Kristen Lloyd, and I am joined today with the Regain Coach, Tosha Stafford. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you, Kristen, for having me on your podcast. Super excited to be here.
I wanted to start off with a little bit more information about your journey, how you became the Regain Coach, before we dig into all of the juicy details, because we're going to talk about Regain. We're going to talk about the mindset of Regain, why Regain isn't a failure, to really help people understand. But I want all of my listeners, all of our listeners here, to know more about you and your journey and how you came to become the Regain Coach.
So this is how my journey began. I worked for corporate America. So I flew all the time for corporate America, like every week.
That sounds like fun. You're like, no, it's not.
It's not. I mean, it is, but it's not. So I was always entertaining clients. So we had like unlimited budget to take people out to dinners and buy all this food for places, donuts, you name it, right? So I had gained some weight, and my highest weight, recorded weight, which is comical because I didn't realize the scale did not go above 300. So I think I was over 300 pounds, but I say my highest recorded weight was like 300 pounds. But I didn't correlate till after weight loss surgery that my scale did not go above. So I'm
It
sure
could have been 30-20 or something. Yeah.
I have one picture of me in jeans, like capris, and a red shirt that you could look at and be like, oh, yeah, Tasha, you were over 300 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
But what happened was I was in the Boise airport and I was flying Alaska Airlines. And the lady came. Okay, now mind you, I flew all the time for work. So this was a route that I always took at least once a month, never was questioned. Okay. And you need to buy 2 seats. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the embarrassing story. And I'm like super red faced because people are right there. Can you imagine if that happened today, how it would just take social media by storm, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
People get out their phones and
yeah, this was in 2013 is when I had my surgery. Okay, 2013.
Awesome.
And I got super red faced and I'm like, I fly this route all the time. I've never been questioned. And she was in charge of me for the seat. I was like, no, I'm not paying for a second seat. I know I fit in the damn airplane seat, right? She followed me on the plane to make sure I would fit in the seat. So basically, the whole back of the plane could hear this conversation. I am mortified. I mean, you want to talk about some trauma? I am mortified at this point, right? And I'm trying to be stoic. I'm trying not just like burst into tears. I'm like thinking, I'll just get off this flight. I'll just rent a car. I'll just drive, and then I'll drive home. I won't ever fly. Like, I'll just fly Southwest because Southwest has bigger seats. And this lady next to me, she's like, you just leave her alone. She can sit next to me. You just leave her alone. And I like squeezed into the seatbelt, right? No extension. And I'm like, see, it fits. I can buckle it. Cause she told me if I couldn't buckle the seat, then she was going to unboard me from the plane. I would have to book the next flight out, which wasn't until that evening. So I would have spent hours in the airport.
Gosh.
So then what's going through my head? Fear. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my job. I got a car payment. I have a mortgage payment. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to tell my employer, like, I'm too fat to fly on an airplane. You're going to have to start buying me 2 tickets. So instant, like, just fear comes over me. My insurance did not pay for weight loss surgery. And it was so expensive in the States that I ended up researching Mexico. So 2 weeks later, I was on a plane with my mom.
Another plane.
On a plane. And I think it was Southwest Airlines, actually. On a plane, had surgery out of fear. I'm in 2013, Tijuana, Mexico, you guys. You know the stories around Tijuana, right? It's not like it is today. And my sister, who had weight loss surgery in the States, was telling me how stupid I was. They're going to sell my organs on the black market, but I did not care. I needed weight loss surgery to lose some weight so that I could keep my job and pay my bills. That's all I was worried about. And so when I think about it now, like, I didn't have that original attachment to the surgery of I'm doing this to get healthy. I skipped over that part. I was doing it completely out of fear. The get healthy part came after.
Wow.
So then what I did was I had the surgery and then I just planned my little travel and I drove until I lost enough weight that I could get back on an Alaska Airlines plane. Even though I didn't want to give them my business, I had to, and fit in and not be questioned again. And you know as well as I do, at 300 pounds, when you're in that much of a restriction and the weight just flies off in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of a couple months I had to do that before I could comfortably walk in and be like, oh, see, I can't cross my legs, but I could fit in an airplane seat and I'm not spilling over. Then about 6 months after that, I started getting up the nerve to go to the gym. And I started walking on the treadmill. And I was like super red-faced, overweight. I'm sure people stared at me, but I went to the gym and I walked on the treadmill. Then after that, probably about 6 months after that, I started lifting weights, venturing out onto the floor. Again, uncomfortable, not knowing what I was doing. I Googled a lot, YouTubed a lot. I read the little signs on the machine of how to do the exercises. I'm sure all the little bodybuilders, made fun of me. I didn't care. I was there to improve myself. And then I started really getting into lifting. So I really started getting into macro dieting is what I got really heavy into. And then people started seeing my transformation on social media and following me. And so I started doing macro plans for people and monitoring, just like making sure they knew how to use like MyFitnessPal,
Was it specific
apps.
for bariatric patients or just anybody at that
So
point?
I did them specific to bariatric patients.
Okay.
We're so much lower calorie, right?
Yeah, we are. And
And
it's,
so
yeah,
I calculated them with a calculator, which I actually still do. I calculate everything by hand and then it goes into a packet. And that's how I started, basically
wow.
macro. But then what I realized was even way back then, before I even transferred or transitioned over to the regain coach, was that people had a hard time adhering to it. So
Yeah,
even though here's your total calories, here's your protein, here's your fats, here's your carbs, people
right.
still had a hard time adhering to sticking to those. Meal prepping, figuring out okay, I want to do this for breakfast. How many calories is in this? How many protein is it? And that's what people still really struggle with today, which is what my programs are, is really executing the
Right.
basics and really understanding, having that new nutritional competence to do that, because that in itself takes a lot of practice. So fast forward to okay, so I had my surgery, right?
2013.
2013, ended an 11-year relationship. So then I was single, went out to the dating world, in the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week. I lived in there. Then I met Chris. Chris was divorced, 2 years, custody of his 2 kids. And what do you think happened? Met and married, 6 months, right? Kind of this whirlwind story, fairy tale story. I didn't have the skill set. I had
Oh
to
my God. Because you know what they
individual.
say? They call it fat and happy or happy. They say when you get into a relationship and
Yeah.
you're happy, you gain weight,
It's
right?
like the freshman 20.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But mine was like the freshman 50,
Oh
So here I
God.
was like this bodybuilder, right? That people looked up to. And I met and married, and it wasn't that. I didn't have the skill set to deal with
The
the stress
shift,
because,
the transition, the
they
life
moved
change.
into my house that I had bought when I was 25, but it was
Yeah.
too small for a family. So we were building a house that had a bunch of building issues.
Oh God.
Well,
These are like
right.
real life issues.
Yeah.
This is
So
real life.
right after we got married, I went into my second round of plastics,
Okay.
which I need revisions from. And then I had complications.
Oh God.
So I ended up getting staph from my brachioplasty that traveled down to my implant. I lost my left implant. So
Oh
I
my
couldn't even
God.
have surgery for another year. So here I am, a new wife, a new stepmom to 2 teenage kids. And that's a hard year to come
And you're
into.
building a
We're building
what
a
year
house.
was this? What year was
This
this?
was 2016,
Oh,
2017.
yeah.
We're building a house that had a ton of building issues that the builder wasn't making right, ended up in a lawsuit. 2 kids that are teenagers. So they got their own teenage issues. And then their parents had just divorced a couple years prior to that. So they were dealing with their own stuff. And I didn't have the skill set to deal with all that. I didn't have the skill set to deal with all that extra pressure, all that extra stress. And by that time, I had left corporate America, founded my company, which is Very Fit, founded that company. So I was self-employed. So that's a stressor, right? All on its
Right.
own. Perfect storm to transfer addiction over to alcohol, and the weight started coming on. And it was a cycle. And even though I got out of the cycle and back in the cycle, it was still a cycle and a process that I had to work through. But regaining weight, there was so much, when you're heavy set and you're like wearing like baggier clothes because you
Yep.
think it makes you look thinner because it hides. And it's like I started doing that. It's shying away from the camera,
Yep.
doing the things, so people wouldn't know that I had regained some weight. And because there was so much guilt and shame that came from it that I didn't at that point, because I was still really the bariatric macro coach. That's what I
Right.
was really into, that I didn't stop and think like, Tosha, regain is nothing to be ashamed of. And it's nothing to be ashamed of to say you didn't have the skill set to deal with all these extra stressors in your life. That's not, but to me it was, because, oh my gosh, I'm Tosha. I'm a superstar at work. I always have high ratings. I've never been wrote up. I've been promoted. I got good bonuses.
Right.
Everybody always counted on me, even my family. I was always the solid
The
person.
go-to girl.
Yeah, to go to. And then when I wasn't in my own life, what do you think that carried?
Oh, a lot of blame, shame, guilt, and I think I see you as having so much confidence. And I think that we can have confidence in a lot of areas, but when we're struggling on the inside, right? Because I've had regain too. I agree with you. It's not something to be ashamed of. Yet when you're in the public eye as a coach, as a mentor, people are looking to you. It's almost like there is no such thing as perfection, but we're almost expected
Right.
to handle our shit. I don't know how else to say it. It's you need to be handling your shit. And I think that it goes a long way to say I didn't have the skills, because when I look back to 2016, me too, that's 9 years ago. There are skills I have now that I didn't have then. So
Yeah.
that's just part of life. Like, and you had said earlier before we started the recording, you said, like, I'm always up leveling my skills for my clients, and my content from whenever. You didn't give a date, but you're like, my content from a couple of years ago is not like my content now. And I'm like, yes, neither is mine. It's different because we're constantly evolving, which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah. Like when I talk about like macros like 9 years ago and I talk to them now, the way like I approach it is completely different. And now it's like people get it because I've up leveled my skill set to be able to explain things. So therefore, my old information that I used to put out is outdated. So I
yes.
recycle it. I don't even want people watching it because it's like I've evolved, I've changed, I've matured. Therefore, my content has to too, so that I'm because now as the regain coach, that's all I deal with is I don't work with newbies anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't work with women I only work with women who have either not made it to goal weight, so they've been on a long plateau, and there's reasons why, or that they've regained. Those are the only women that I work with, and I only work with women now, not women and men. I only work with women, and I can relate to that now.
Yeah.
It's so relatable and so personal to me because I didn't realize like I was a food addict for one. I discovered that after. And it's like, no, I just had bad behaviors. And it's like, no, Tasha, every time you traveled for work, your whole front seat had to be loaded with Score bars and Cheetos and Pepsi. And because why? Probably because I was bored driving. So instead of listening to a podcast, I ate because I was bored driving and I could eat and talk on speakerphone. Like I didn't realize all these things. And then when everything came to a head and I regained because, yeah, you know what? I'm a rock star in a lot of aspects of my life. I'm a hard worker. I'm a reliable worker. I
Right.
go to work in corporate America, right? Did my job very well. Like I had a very good skill set in a lot of areas in my life, but I did not know how to take care of myself. Now, did I brush my teeth? Yes. Did I get my hair done? Yes. Did I get my nails painted to look nice? Yes. Did I take a shower? Yes. But I'm talking about true emotional needs. I did not know that what even existed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that existed until I did therapy for 2 years myself, every other week, really committed to the work. And there were times, Kristen, I wanted to bang my head up against the wall. I did. Because I was just like, I don't have time for shit. Why does this have to be so hard? Like, this is too much. Is this even worth it? Because there was a lot of stress here. And in the home, there was a lot of stress. And then Chris and I were also like, okay, now we got to figure out our marriage again,
Right.
and we got to rediscover each other again. And so he went to sessions with me. The kids went to sessions with me. These are things we should have even done before Chris and I even got married. But I didn't even know that was a thing. And so I was doing all this work and putting in all this work and wanted just to bang my head up against the wall. And sometimes I just want to be like, you know what, screw it. It'd just be easier just to like file for divorce, sell the house, not own property, and just change my name and move away.
Something you said came up for me because I work with a lot of high achieving women. So they're in similar to what you're describing, like they're in corporate roles, they're in senior roles, they're in executive roles. I work with attorneys, doctors, nurses, HR, occupational therapy, a lot of helping professions, but not all, like accountants. So one client specifically that's coming up, and if she listens to this, she'll know it's her. But she said, I didn't realize that having weight loss surgery would have me here. And she's a couple years out from surgery and she's very high achieving, like similar to what you're describing as yourself. I've done all these things. I've ticked all these boxes. I've achieved this and that. And this is how people see me from the outside. But now there's all of this emotional stuff, which some of it goes back to childhood. Sometimes it comes up, and I'm being generic, not specific to her, but it comes back to how we were raised, how we were talked to, how we talk to ourselves, how we interact with people, emotional stuff that we've never processed. Or emotions. What do you mean emotions? What are those? There's sometimes avoidance of dealing with, you just said it, discomfort, difficult things, disappointment, and all of those things. And she has said, and others have said this too in their own way, I didn't realize that this, in air quotes, right, would be so much work. But it's not just the surgery that creates the work, or a GLP-1 or whatever. What it is, you becoming a different person who actually starts to care for yourself and not just going through the motions care. I hit my protein, I hit my exercise, whoop, whoop, but you're actually going through processing your emotions, dealing with heavy stuff, relationship stuff, deciding what you want for your life, and working through whether it's marital stuff or do I want to date? Because I work with single women too. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
People don't realize all the inputs in our life and then the output that we have to give. And I just thought, okay, having weight loss surgery.
Oh, lose the weight. That'll be good. But you didn't, I guess what I'm.
And losing all the weight, I'm going to be happy because I can fit in an airplane seat and I'm going to be skinny. So I'm going to be snatched.
Confident or snatched.
Yeah. Just like, that's how it works, right? You have weight loss surgery, you're thin for life.
And like there's the buzzer, right?
You don't realize. No, after you have weight loss surgery and you lose all the weight and you don't have the food as a coping mechanism,
right.
Shit, that opens up.
Exactly.
Because now what do I got? I don't got food. So now what do I do? And in some twisted way, Kristen, you can probably understand this. I don't have the food.
I can.
I don't have the food to deal with shit. So here, let me drink my emotions away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I could justify that because alcohol has 0 calories, right? Alcohol has calories, but in my mind, no, it doesn't. I was in such denial, but that was a complete coping mechanism because I could just check out in the evening and I didn't have to deal with all the pain from, plastic surgery and the infection. And I need a revision, to my brachioplasty, because I got such a big infection. I didn't even heal right, So people would be like, oh, you had a brachioplasty? And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to go explain it all again. So no, I didn't. I can really use a revision. And I lost my implant and I had to be one 400-seat implant for 1 full year and no implant in the other one. And so I had 1 big boob, 1 no boob. And so I was completely I had to stuff it so that people wouldn't stare at me. Or for the first 6 months, it leaked all the time because they couldn't stitch me up. So I had to leave it open underneath the boob from the implant because there was you couldn't trap the infection. Then I had to make sure I padded everything with maxi pads. And so it was a year of, I didn't deal with it. I didn't deal with all the trauma.
There's emotional stuff there.
That surgery brought me. And then the new marriage and stuff. So it was just so much happened in such a short time that I think as strong as a person as I was, it was too much. It was way too much that happened in such a short period of time that it was almost so overwhelming. I didn't know what to do, and then, like I said, and then you got the regain. So then all the guilt and all the shame and all the disappointment. And then you just want to go hide. You don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You don't want to face the world. You don't want to hide. And what I didn't realize either, and I just talked to my own clients about this, is think about your mindset like your gas tank.
Oh, yeah.
What's your habit for gassing up your car? Because my habit is on the new cars, it says 5 miles to empty.
Yeah.
I am famous for that. 50 miles to empty. It drives Chris nuts. So I ask my clients, what's your habit on gassing up your car? And some of them are oh, once it hits a quarter of a tank, I'm filling up.
That's me. That's me.
Half a tank, I'm filling up. And then there's a chunk of us that are oh yeah, I wait for the little thing to say 25 miles to empty, 5 miles to empty. But I think about like my capacity too, like my brain capacity every day, that every day, like I don't start at 100%. There's a lot of days that I do, but there's some days I may only start like 70%, 50%. And during that time period, Kristen, I was probably more like 20%. And then you have all the things that you have to function and do.
And then there's the expectations that we have running on that 20%, right? Because then you have the expectations and the shoulds of what you should be doing. But I wonder back then, because you're talking about it now, but hey, I love the way that you're framing it, because I bet most people, and I certainly don't wake up and say, where am I at today? Am I at 80? Am I at 60? Am I at 50? And yet we have, regardless of, we look at our expectations or our to-do list or what we're doing or what we have to do. We're not looking at, okay, how much do I actually have to give in terms of mental, emotional, physical capacity on any given day?
Yeah. And I tell my clients, like you like that quarter of a gas tank that you always reserve, you need to reserve that for yourself every day. So every day, I'm not talking about taking a shower, getting your nails done, getting your hair done. A lot of that stuff we take for granted. I'm talking about, that's the 25% every day you need to reserve for yourself. And at the end of the day, when you come home from work, you need to say, how am I going to take care of my brain today? How am I going to take care of my emotional needs today? Do I need to go to bed earlier? Do I need to sip on some tea? Do I need to just soak in a bathtub with some Epsom salt and listen to a podcast? Do I need to love on my dogs? Or do I just need to just shut my phone off so that nobody messages me or calls me? 3 years ago, I had my phone. This was one thing that I walked through with my own clients. I had my phone go into do not disturb. 3 years ago, that was my challenge to myself. It shuts down. I have not taken that off my phone today. 3 years later, my phone still shuts down because that's how I take care of myself. I don't want to be bothered with social media, even though I run my business on it. It's not, I love my clients. I love my followers, but I also need a break.
We all do.
I don't text messages that aren't emergency. I'll respond back to you tomorrow. And now I go to bed like at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9. Sometimes it's at 7:30. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to sit here and fight it. I'm going to bed now. I'm tired. I also get up early.
Yeah.
And I think as high performers, because I find this with a lot of people in the community, is we're such type A personalities, like it's all or nothing perfectionism, that it's really hard for you to put your ego aside. That I need some help. I'm not handling all this stress in my life very well. I need some help. And
I think that really a lot of people
to say that.
I think that people who are high performers, though, almost see it as a negative. Like that's those shoulds. Like I should be able to do this. So they almost see it as a deficiency that they need help, because it's like a hyper independence. And I do think that some of it can be a trauma response of, why can't I handle it? I used to, or they don't realize all of the changes that come with, again, not just the surgery, but the lifestyle changes that are required for not just weight loss, but weight maintenance and to your point, that self-care, I didn't either, right? Take care of ourselves well before. So when we make that shift, we don't make the allowance in our brain that, this is going to take up another 10 or 20% of our memory or bandwidth or whatever you call it. Yeah. So we don't account for that. And then we wonder why we can't do it because we haven't adjusted it. Some of it's practice, but some of it is, have we shifted our expectations of ourselves and given ourselves compassion that, hey, there's a learning curve. This is a new skill set, right? So just if you were to take, and I'm not even going to talk about anything competitive. Let's talk about like art class, or even somebody told me the other day, she was thinking about taking like clay or pottery or something. You're not going to go in there on day one and spin some clay and be like a master artist. Like it's going to take some practice, right? Yeah. So that's the other thing and think, oh gosh, I suck because I didn't get this right first time.
Yeah. And I think too, people don't think about, okay, so if you're only starting your day with like at 75%, and I'm trying to reserve 25% for myself, that means I only got 50% to give to the rest of the universe today. Mm-hmm. And that's where I sucked at boundary setting. I literally, my family walked all over me. Like
Yeah.
I was always the go-to person. Ask Aunt Tasha. I
Yep.
was always the one who would drop everything, take my vacation because I traveled so I could rearrange things to take care of family needs. I was always the go-to person. But with that, I also neglected myself. And so I also had to realize that I suck at boundaries. I'm such a rock star in a lot of aspects of my life, except for boundaries, because I feel like I'm the type of person that takes pride and enjoys helping and doing for other people.
Yes. I would say that's a lot of the
Right.
people that I work with.
Yeah. So I'm a caregiver. I like doing things for people. I like doing nice things for people. I like helping people and maybe knowing that people need me, maybe. But what I didn't realize is that also comes with boundaries because, Kristen, it didn't feel good to me to say no.
Oh, for
Like, because
sure.
part of my value system, like I enjoy doing things for people like that. So then when I pull back and I don't, it doesn't make me feel good to pull back and not do those things for people. And what I had to realize is you can still do things nice for people and be there and be the good friend and be the good family member and but you don't have to go all out. You can still
Yeah.
have boundaries. You can still pick and choose what you do but you have to learn to be okay with that. But that didn't
Hmm.
make me feel good because if I wasn't doing all of it, then it didn't make me feel good. And I had to learn
Yeah.
that skill set to say, no, this doesn't work for me right now. Or no, I'm not going to do that. Or I'm going to pull back on doing things. But I don't, but the other thing that I tell my clients is don't feel the need to announce it to the world. You announce
Yeah.
it to like, I'm going on a diet, people in this house. So I'm just not buying any sweets anymore. What do you think your kids are going to do? If your husband and your kids are used to eating all this junk food with you, and all of a sudden you announce to the whole house that you're not buying it anymore, what are you inviting into your world?
Chaos. You're
Chaos, right?
inviting chaos.
Just go to the store and stop buying it. And
Yeah.
eventually it will get depleted in your house. But while it's in your house, you're going to have to practice uncomfortable
Right.
because you're trying to lose some weight and that's okay. But as soon as you announce it, all you're doing is inviting discomfort and fights and this and that. And the other thing is they don't have the trust in you. Because how many
Yeah.
diets after weight loss surgery have you tried doing that you're like, I'm on a diet? No, I'm not eating that. But then the next week you're eating it or you're drinking it or you're doing
Yeah.
it. So they have no trust in you that this time is the true change. And then you don't even have any trust in yourself because you've attempted so many times after weight loss surgery and failed. And now you just feel like you're failing at weight loss surgery too, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because weight loss surgery doesn't fix your brain. It doesn't take away your thoughts around food. What does it do? It's restriction, making you fuller faster, and digesting your food faster, right?
And depending on which surgery you have, like there can be some leptin ghrelin changes.
Yeah.
And that's also what the GLP-1 does is it does reduce the hunger and or the food noise and the
Yeah.
it adjusts your fullness and well your desire your hunger, but it still doesn't deal with your emotional state. It
No,
still is not gonna, yeah.
you're still going to think about food. It's whether you act on it or don't act on it. But what people aren't prepared for is when you get off the medications. Because
Oh yeah.
so let's talk about GLPs for a minute, because GLPs reinforce weight loss surgery. Okay. They
Yeah.
reinforce the restriction. They reinforce how our weight loss surgery was really designed to work, that we lost. Because a lot of us are OGs, man. We're years out, right? We've
Yeah.
lost some of that because we've gotten used to it. Your body gets used to it. Your body does get used to a GLP too. But what a GLP does is it reinforces your surgery. But what people aren't prepared for is, okay, you're no longer diabetic, so your insurance is kicking you off of them. No, no warning, no nothing. You go to reapply for your pre-authorization. Oh, nope, you're at goal weight. You're no longer diabetic. We're no longer covering this for you anymore.
Yeah.
Now your next thing is a compound or to get it through Lilly Direct, $500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go to a compound pharmacy, which is
Mm-hmm.
$450 a month, $350 a month. And yeah, maybe somebody can afford that for a while, but then eventually they can't justify the expense anymore because it's half of a car payment.
Yep.
So then they get off these medications, and what they're not used to, the food noise comes back. the hunger comes back and they treat it like it's an emergency and I need to eat because I'm a little hungry.
Oh my gosh, you're preaching to the choir. I feel you. Yes.
It's not an emergency. Sit with your hunger for a little bit. Drink some water. Eat at your lunch break. But then what do you think they need? It's not their lunch break yet, and they're a little hungry. So here, let me open up my snack drawer. To me, is equivalent to a junk drawer.
Oh, yeah.
And let me pull out my protein bar. Let me pull out my granola bar. Let me pull out my Greek yogurt with a shit ton of granola in it and this in it, right? Snacks are associated with highly processed caloric foods, right? So if you're a weight loss surgery patient or on a GLP-1 or both, or even you're not a weight loss surgery patient, but you're on a GLP-1,
right?
Take the word snack out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Now you have to identify with what type of eater do you want to become? And for me, I'm 12 years post-surgery. I've been off and on GLP-1s myself that I openly talk about. I want to be the type of eater that I eat when I'm hungry. I stop when I'm full. I work on my hydration. I get active. I get adequate amounts of sleep. And I hit my 100 grams of protein a day.
Yep.
More if I'm lifting, because you'll see me when I go back to lifting weights.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I like to associate myself with this. I basically eat 4 times a day, and each meal has 25 grams of protein.
And that was, I remember you saying that earlier before we started, which was how many meals do you eat a day? And I don't talk a lot about nutrition with my peeps. It's mostly mindset. But when people are talking about food, I'll say the same thing. Are you a 3 meal a day person? Are you a 5 meal a day person? You decide, or work with someone who focuses on nutrition to help you decide, because that's not my work. However, I would agree. What is it? Or some folks will say, oh, I'm hungry at night. My thing is, okay, why not work that into your plan?
Yeah.
If you make that your last meal of the day. And I have some folks that they wake up later, they're retired, they go to bed later. So if you're having a snack, which a meal, right, at 9 o'clock at night and calling it a meal, and you don't start eating till 10 in the morning or 11 in the morning. If you've shifted and that's how you live your life, go you. But that also can take away from, I want to eat. Is it planned? Is it decided? Is that just part of how you're eating versus you're hanging out and sneaking into cabinets and deceiving yourself? Can we be honest with ourselves about what we're eating? It's not night eating that is a problem. I think it's the deception with ourselves that's a problem.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, it's like, if you want to say, you know what, I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in the evening time, I have a high protein mini meal, and like how I like to eat, and that's what works for me. That's okay. But like to your point, if it's been a shitty day at work and then, oh yeah, my car started having issues. And so now I'm coming home and I'm having a half a bottle of wine. And then because I'm having a half a bottle of wine, then I have the effets because I've already screwed up my diet for today. And it's Friday night. And now I'm eating the chips and the cookies that my husband brought home.
Or now I'm going to Uber Eats or something and then it's a spiral, right?
So now it's Saturday and I already screwed up Friday. So I'm just going to start back over Monday. You just gave yourself permission to do whatever the hell you want. Like you just turned the 2-year-old loose in the candy store. What do you think that's going to bring about?
1000% chaos. There we go again. Chaos.
So now you're in the cycle of, I call it the Monday cycle.
Oh yeah.
You're always starting over on Monday. And then you're always starting over at the beginning of the month. And then you're always starting
over January.
At the beginning of the year. And here's success for regain. Okay. Right here. You just make up your mind to, you know what? I'm going to lose the weight. And I realize the alcohol has became an issue or the snacking has became an issue. So those are 2 things that do have to go. Okay. Because we know we got to get rid of that. But while that's happening, I also have to learn how to deal with my life because I got a lot of stress in my life and I have relationship dysfunction and I have kids in trouble or I got my 50-year-old son that lives in the basement who's a gamer and makes really good money, but doesn't pay me a dime of rent kind of issues. Right. And so it's like, okay, we got some things that we have to deal with. while we're getting rid of the alcohol, while we're getting rid of the snacks. And
Right.
for me, Kristen, I'll be honest with you, I have not touched alcohol for 3 years, and it's because of this.
That's awesome.
I cannot moderate it.
Right.
There might be a time period that I could like, yeah, have one or two. But if I was still trying, okay, I'll be honest on this podcast because I talk about this with my clients and this just came up. If I was still drinking to this day and just
Mhm.
moderation, right? Because there were times I lost the regain, I moderated really good. Because then you'll enter other seasons of your life where there's stress will elevate again.
Yes.
Here, 10 years later, after all that stuff happened, right? We're in 2025. So
Mhm.
basically 9 years later, roughly, stress elevated again. So my husband's a UPS driver, got attacked by a dog in January, has had 2 rotator cuff surgeries, hasn't worked the entire year. So I have to make up the income gap, right? I'm a business owner. So you're having to go out and drive programs. And then we just got the news like we're losing our lab. He's 7.5. And
Oh, I'm
on
so
Friday, we were told like we have 30 to 60 days with him. He has lymphoma. If I was trying to moderate alcohol right now, what do you think would
no.
happen? Because now
Chaos.
I'm
Another
peak.
tier, another peak. Yeah,
Yeah,
another
it's high stress
stress.
season. This year, I would have been back in the addiction cycle this year. Now, what it probably would have looked like is something like this. It would have started low in January, but by December would have started ramping up. And what it would have done is maybe I would have stayed the same weight. Maybe I wouldn't have lost any weight. Or maybe I would have just gained a few pounds. But what it would have put me back in is active addiction. So for me, zero. It's just so much easier for me just to say zero. It's so much.
I have not had a problem with alcohol, and I'm going through perimenopause, which you and I have talked about
Mhm.
like off recording and different things. And I know how, and I've not ever been a big drinker, but I've just like most women, it's like, oh, I like a glass of wine from now or now from time
Yeah.
to time. And I remember we went to Mexico in, I think it was February or March of this year. And I remember having to, and made this conscious decision because everybody's like drinking on the beach. And it wasn't the same decision. It was, do I want to sleep tonight? Because the alcohol will mess me up. It will mess up my sleep. And last year was awful in terms of sleep. So I was like sitting there watching people get drinks. Kristen, do you want to sleep? So I go up to the bar, and this is hilarious. I asked the guy, I said, I want a virgin margarita with no sugar. And he goes, so basically you want ice, lime, and stevia. Is that correct? I was like, yes. And I give me a fancy glass. And he was like,
Yeah.
okay. And it was like the most ridiculous ask, but I was in my head. I'm like, Kristen, if you drink, you won't sleep. And
Yeah.
also you'll be hot because whenever, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but that's another thing that for me has turned me off to alcohol since surgery is I don't ever remember having that before is it heats me up and then I
Yeah.
like sweat.
Yep.
So I was like, nope. So I probably haven't had a drink. I don't even know when I'd have to think about it, but definitely not this year.
Yeah. When I quit, I used to take the little margarita packets like with me. And then I would say, can I just have a glass of water with salt on the rim? And I would get weird looks. And then I would take my little margarita packet and I would dump it in there and I would be having a margarita. And so you could do that because now margarita, they make like strawberry daiquiris, pina coladas.
And they're like little packets?
Yeah, they're little packets. And so just take those packets.
And they're non-alcoholic, like little
Yeah, they're the water flavorings. They're margarita water flavorings, but they're margarita, strawberry daiquiri, pina colada. And then what you do is you take those on vacation with you, and then you just say, can you take this packet and blend me up a good drink? And then, oh yeah, add the little pineapple topping on top of the cup,
exactly.
right? So you could do that to help. So 3 year alcohol free. You know what I'm discovering now? Well, one, like I sleep good. I got good routines. I feel good. I don't feel like shit. My body, because your alcohol is a poison to your body.
Oh, yes.
If you think your body cares about weight loss when you're constantly drinking, it don't give a shit about your weight loss because alcohol is a poison and it's constantly trying to get rid of that poison before it cares about your hormones and your sleep and your hair and your nails and your weight loss is this is what I'm experiencing now. And so I got to work through this. So like we talk about
Yep.
skill sets, right? So I need to learn a new skill set right here, right now, because now I'm 3 years. And so like the whole excitement of it, newness, and the kind of the reasons why are starting to wear off a little bit.
Yeah.
That I'm realizing like when I'm around people who drink, they annoy me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then number two, I feel awkward now where I didn't really before. But now I feel like, okay, I'm ready to go home because I'm feeling awkward and I'm feeling like, oh gosh, I miss the days that I used to just be able to cut loose. You know, Chris and I could go get a hotel room somewhere and I could just cut loose and have fun.
Yeah.
I don't get that anymore. And so now it's
Like some FOMO almost, but not so much. Yeah.
so now I got to figure out that. So now it's like, okay, I got to figure out that skill set. So
Yeah.
now something's going on, right? So it's bringing some
Right.
emotions to me. Okay, I don't even want to go do things with people because now I just get bored because they're drinking and they're having fun. And I feel like I'm like the dudder of the crowd.
Well, there are mocktails, but it's like what
Yeah,
you're.
but it's not the same, you know, because you're not getting that impairment, that take me away feeling. And
Yeah.
so now it's like, okay, so now I'm having these emotions. So now I need a skill set to deal with that. And I guess
Right.
in the quest of becoming the well-adjusted, healthy individual,
Right.
right?
Which I believe we're all on. I'm still on that quest. And if anybody thinks that, I tell my clients all the time, if you think I have arrived or I'm in some ivory tower looking down, absolutely not, because there are days just like everybody else that I am the hot mess express. Like that's like real life. There's no balcony that I'm looking down to.
But it's whether you choose to say, but what did I learn from that?
Absolutely.
And what did I do? And then what did I do? Because that's how I like to think about things. What am I learning from this? What lesson is supposed to come about this?
Whenever I'm in a
Even
cycle,
like this year, I'm looking at like with Chris and this, I'm like,
what am I supposed to learn?
it's like, what am I supposed to learn here? You know, what is my lesson here? And honestly, I think my lesson was to simplify the business and to really hone in on the parts of the business that really bring me as a coach happiness. And knowing too, as a coach, I can't be all things to all people.
None of us
And
can.
I need to have reserve back for my own client. I need to reserve back too, but I can't be all things to all of them. There's experts in all different areas. I'm just an expert in one. And if they need more help, then do my program and be in therapy. I did it too. You know, I did therapy every other week for 2 years. It's the best thing that I did for myself. You know, I got on my little insurance plan. I figured out some counselors that were in my area. I Googled, figured out what they were experts in. And then I went in person. And we were just discussing this. People saying they don't have time. If you look at your screen time on your phone and you figure out how much screen time you're spending on your phone, don't tell me you don't have time to do a Zoom call or join one of your programs to get mentally healthy. And that's not like, don't take offense to that.
Yeah.
Because I brought this up to my clients, and this, I think you'll find this fascinating. Could you imagine what the world will look like in 100 years? Okay. Think 100 years down the road. And I'm not talking about AI, right? I'm not talking about artificial intelligence and robots. I'm just think humans. 100 years down the road, when all of us have recycled out, and the new curriculum is in kindergarten, you go through emotional
regulation skills. Like I feel like that's a dream.
Kindergarten all the way through senior year, every single year you have to take. That's part of your curriculum, right?
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Could you imagine what society would look like in 100 years after everybody's recycled out? All of us, right?
Right.
Like who've never had that, have cycled out. You know, we've departed Earth. And all this new generation that's going through that from kindergarten all the way through senior year, they've had to do it like every year, right? It's like history.
You're making me come up with a curriculum in my head. I'm like conflict resolution skills, communication skills.
Could you imagine what type of society we would live in 100 years if that was part of the curriculum?
Still not perfection. Nothing is ever perfect, but I do think a lot of people would be a lot more emotionally well adjusted. And I think when you said AI, because I was thinking a lot of the technology, while it connects us, there's a lot of it that disconnects us. And I do think that when we're connected with ourselves and when we can practice compassion, not just for others, but ourselves, empathy, we can learn self-talk and these types of things. I almost visualize where that we have almost like little farm. I don't know why this comes into my mind, but like each neighborhood has their own little like veggie patch and things like that, where it's not just the other people are growing, because there is this influx of homesteading and working from the land. That may not be everyone in big cities and things like that, but I just noticed that trend changing. And so then we've got emotion regulation skills, but there's also this kind of coming back to nature and coming back to the basics, really. And the basics are human understanding.
Yeah. I didn't have that, because in my family, you didn't talk about like emotions, and you didn't talk about needs, and you didn't talk about it's okay to feel like this. Like my dad was very gruff, and it was like basically like buck it up kind of thing. And like, I don't care what you think. So as
mine was, children should be seen and not heard, and don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh yeah. That was a big one too. Yeah. And it was like, okay. So then as adults, it's like, we got all these emotions and we don't know what to do with them. And you know what I started telling myself? Like, it's okay, Tosha, if you want to bang your head up against the wall. It's okay if you want to throw a tantrum and just get out that emotion, right? It's okay to go outside and scream. Your neighbors might wonder what's up, right? But it's okay, because that's like, you're realizing like, okay, I need an outlet. I need something to do. I need something constructive. Like, I need to feel better. And like my therapist told me, like, congratulations, you are a well-adjusted, healthy individual. Because one time in my session, I said, I don't have anything. Okay, go work out, go take a walk, but I don't have anything else. What am I supposed to do? When I have like frustration or things like going on, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, congratulations, Tosha. This is what a well-adjusted, healthy individual looks like. You don't have like active addiction. Now, am I still OCD? Do I vacuum my house every day and stuff like that? Of course. I got 3 dogs, right? And I'm allergic to my dogs. I still do stuff like that, but I'm talking about, okay, I don't engage in
maladaptive behaviors.
Do I snack sometimes? Sure. Do I have a sweet treat sometimes? Sure. Do I maybe overspend in a month and buy like a couple extra things that could have waited? Sure. But I'm not like active addiction. Like I don't like do things that I can't afford or things like that, But I see that a lot in the weight loss surgery community. And I didn't think about it like, okay, congratulations. You are becoming a well-adjusted, healthy individual. Now keep pursuing that. Yeah. Because you don't stop. Like you don't stop. You keep pursuing level 1 of a well-adjusted, healthy individual, level 2, level 3, level 4, until the day you depart Earth. You're striving to be the highest version of yourself so that you're healthy for yourself, for one, but you're also healthy for everybody else around you. Because there was a time period in my life, Kristen, I was no good to me, and I was no good. I was toxic for myself. I was toxic to others. I'm not. I'll admit that right off the bat.
And I think that we all have periods of time that were like that can be normalized, where we all have periods like that. And there was another podcast recording that I did where we were talking about family, getting with family for the holidays, and that we could be doing our work, but it may not be that our family is doing their work. And similar to what you had said about, let's say the mom who's like, okay, no steps in the house, right? So we can do our work, but that doesn't mean, and even extended family. So siblings, parents, children, extended family, you've changed, you've had, surgery, or you're on a GLP-1 or both, and you're going through these changes, not just in your body, but in your emotions. And so getting ready for the holidays, there are holiday get-togethers, but that doesn't mean that other people have done their emotional work. So you show up different, right, to gatherings, and it could happen any time of year, but because the holidays are coming, I'm just going to highlight that, is that then you show up and they treat you how you've always been and you're changing. So I think that's another thing to note is that we may be evolving and changing after having the surgery and doing the inner work, and whether we're doing the inner work, some people are not. And that is a choice, right? That we have to make for ourselves to actually do it. But other people may not be. Not everybody's in therapy. Not everybody's getting coaching. Not everybody's learning this new skill set because they haven't had a transformational experience that's brought it on like we have.
Yeah. Well, not everybody's going to be on a journey with you to lose weight. And you got to accept that too. Like you might not have anybody that supports you in your damn journey to lose, regain, or to make it to goal or become snatched or whatever you want to call it. You might get pissed off that your husband is eating ice cream every night in front of you and you're on a weight loss journey. It's like you got to let him do him and you got to do you. And yeah, you know what? It's uncomfortable and it's not always easy. But like when your husband's sitting there eating the ice cream, and because this happened. Okay, so I started last June, right?
Yeah.
And Chris would sit there and eat nuts in front of me and eat ice cream in front of me. And I had to sit there and remind myself, like, Tosha, you're only going to feel uncomfortable while he's eating the ice cream. As soon as he's done eating the ice cream, this emotion is going to resolve.
Subside, yeah.
It's just really heightened right now. And yeah, the ice cream would probably taste really freaking good right now. You know, and if you're really hungry, what are some protein options that you got? And sometimes I wasn't. It was like I would just drink some water, or maybe drink a Diet 7-Up, something, right?
So it's almost like fear of missing out, where and it's almost like we want to have permission. If they're eating it, can we too?
Yeah.
I think that's such a great point, because my journey or your journey, right? Like my journey is not my husband's journey. Like we eat different. And one of the things, it's not ice cream, but I stop eating at a certain time because that's what works best for me. Right.
Yeah.
But there are times where he'll get up in the middle of the night and he's getting a snack at 2 a.m. or midnight or this or that. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I can't sleep. And he's always been that way. And that does not give me permission to go get a snack, because that's his body, his journey. Yep.
But what does most women in perimenopause do, or menopause, because they can't sleep? So what are they?
Go and snack.
They go and snack. And that's where a lot of regain comes, perimenopausal, menopausal, because you're hot, cold, right? I can't sleep. And so I'm not laying in bed just with nothing to do, listening to my husband snore. So I'll go rifle. Oh, Chris just bought some cookies. Oh yeah, those sound good, right? And so you go in the kitchen and you start snacking, you know. But I think the other thing too is like your husband's not weight loss surgery either, is
Nope.
And see, either is mine. And it's like my journey. I'm the one who chose to have surgery. I am 100% responsible for making sure I'm successful.
And I've found, for me, this doesn't work for everybody. I'm going to share it here, but I don't talk about it with my clients, because I don't usually say, this is what I do. Sometimes I will, but I have, one of the things that has worked for me is when you were talking about boundaries, I have boundaries with food for myself. And once the kitchen has closed for me, it's closed. Like it could be 2 a.m. It could be 3 a.m. Like then I think probably
everybody needs to close the damn kitchen.
Yeah. I think there are like maybe 1 or 2 exceptions to that rule, but I would say it's something that I would have to document. I would say that 99.99999% of the time, like from whatever time, like 10 till whenever breakfast is. And it's probably earlier than 10, but I don't have a time per se. It's just like when I go into my bedroom and I'm getting ready, like it's done. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night, too bad, so sad. It's not happening. Like I'm not eating, but those are my rules. And I obey them because I made them, not because some diet told me, not because anybody else. It's just, and it's not restriction. It's just what has always worked for me and helped me. And if I'm struggling with sleep, which has only been because of perimenopause, but I'm balanced now.
I think everybody does, but it's a healthy rule, because you realize this is just a non-negotiable in my weight loss journey. Take the bariatrics out of it or the GLP out of it, because those are just tools. This is just something healthy I do for myself to close down the kitchen to make sure I'm successful with my weight loss. And for me, I close the kitchen after dinner. I eat enough at dinner with protein that I should not be hungry, and I am not the best with water every day. So therefore, if I need to work on water after that,
right?
You know, and so like after dinner, the kitchen's closed, and I think everybody needs to close the kitchen. You know, I don't think the kitchen needs a revolving door. because I can't sleep. So I'm going in the kitchen. I can't sleep. So I'm going in the pantry. The other thing, eating in bed. Another really bad habit that I tell clients, like, why are you eating in bed? What is your bed designed for?
Yeah.
Like, why are you eating in bed or eating on the furniture? Another bad habit. It's like, so if you think about what does my future version look like? Like,
Absolutely.
what type of behaviors would I want her to exhibit to ensure that she's successful with weight loss surgery or GLP or weight loss long term? Like, what behaviors do I want to exhibit? And those would be like 3 for me. No eating on the furniture. I eat up to the table and I eat it mindfully. No phone in front of me, distraction free. I eat my food. I enjoy it. No eating on the furniture, no eating in bed, and I close the kitchen.
Yep.
Those would be 3 for me. Like, I would be proud of myself if I could execute those like on a regular basis. I would be really proud of myself to say, no, those are just behaviors that I used to do. But
I think one of the things that because we eat from home a lot. Like, we don't do a lot of eating out.
Yeah.
But when, like, if there are times that I pick up food, like, my hard rule is no eating in the car. Because that was the one thing prior to surgery, I probably ate fast food 4 or 5 times a week, which is a lot. And half of it would be eaten on the way home, right? So no eating in the car, no eating in the car, and which isn't really, and it's a total non-issue because most of the time I'm preparing meals here. So I'm not picking up from anywhere. But that's something that if we are picking up something, we're not eating on the way home. We wait.
Take Starbucks, for an example. You're a person who hasn't made it to goal or is facing regain, but you work at a job Monday through Friday with commute. So you're swinging by Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever every day, getting your iced coffee that's X amount of calories. And congratulations if you can make it like pretty much 0, right? Nominal. But, they have their new pumpkin loaf. They got their new lemon loaf, and you're eating it in the car. So there's 300-400 calories every day.
I'm thinking about the $10
calories a day, and the money, right? And the money, but that's like 2,000 calories a week, and you're wondering why you're not losing any weight.
Yeah.
The key to you discovering why you're not losing any weight
is awareness.
Is to track your behaviors, and also realizing, look, you may not have anybody that supports you in your journey.
Yep.
You may not have a husband who has any desire to lose weight. Your kids may not want to lose weight. Your sister may not want to lose weight. Your best friend may not want to lose weight, but you do. And that is what matters. And let them be them, and let you be you, and let them do their thing and you do your thing. And
that's boundaries work.
And you know what? It's going to get really, really hard, you know, and it's going to suck, you know, and that's okay. And it's not like you're not always going to get the support, but that's where you go seek out the support from like your program. Like, you go seek it out and you be with people who are aspiring to do the same things that you're and are there for the support, and like a group of women who can relate to each other. And that's what's going to make you successful. And it's okay if your husband doesn't want to lose weight. Chris didn't want to either with me. I did it. I started on my own. And then this spring, he decided he wanted to lose some weight. So now he's on the journey with me. But for many months, it sucked saying no all the time. It sucked watching him eat nuts in front of me and ice cream in front of me and snacking on chips in front of me. And I'm still hungry after dinner. And I'm like, I kind of am too, you know, but the kitchen was closed and it was like, oh my gosh. But then today, back at goal weight, fitting in super small clothes, you know, it's like, okay, all that hard work was so worth it to do it again. I did it again. So I proved to myself that I am capable 12 years post-op, losing the regain. And now I have to navigate maintenance again. I've navigated maintenance before, but now, you know what the cool part is? I'm going to go into navigating maintenance as a healthier individual, like a more aware individual, a more emotionally regulated individual, a happier, healthier individual than I was back, say, like in 2015, 2016.
So all of those things. And another thing I'll tell people, and here's a mindset shift, is when things are or you think things are happening to you, they may be happening for you. I even have this worksheet. Is you think it's happening to you, but how is it happening for you? So essentially, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? So if you look back to 2015, 2016, like the world is falling apart, or not, but a lot of these issues.
Yeah, victim mode. Like, why me? Why is life so hard? I fell right into that.
And here you are having on the other side of that, having lost the regain probably twice since then, or maybe more, but you've done that. You not only survived, but you're thriving and you're better for it because you've learned so much. I don't think I've done a lot of trainings on resilience. I've given talks on resilience. And one of the things you made a good point about victim mentality or victim mindset. I also will talk about learned helplessness, where people will just be like, oh, well, I can't. And they list all these excuses or reasons. And the thing, yes, like really shitty things happen. There are traumatic things, but also there's something which I'm not going to get into or talk about today, but it's called like post-traumatic growth. Like we talk about like PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's also post-traumatic growth. And a lot of times we have the opportunity to choose, back to something else you said, right? It's a choice. It's a decision, right? You were talking about it's a decision to have that thing in the evening, or it's a decision when you decide you're empowered. And when you're deciding something differently to make a different choice, you're empowering yourself to take a different road or a different path in life. And I think that there are some folks that are stuck thinking in the stinking thinking of, oh, this is just how it is, or why me? Exactly what you were saying. But then we can pivot to, wait a minute, this is really crappy. I don't like it. I don't want it. Whatever the situation is, right? So it could be stepkids, crazy stuff, like even the brachioplasty and all the stuff that happened with that. That's awful. And it's going through it to say, not only did I survive that, but I'm thriving and I've learned from it. Did it suck while it happened? Like, was it awful? Yes. And I've also I've gained new tools and skills. And I think that's where we can lean into what skills or tools don't I have, instead of poor me, victim me. Let's pivot and say, okay, like you said, there's no shame in not having skills. Shit, I put up, and you've heard this before because I talked about it in my book. I put a cheeseburger in a blender, post up. Hey, Kristen, you have a problem with food, right? So I said that to myself, like, you think you just had surgery and you just put a burger in a blender. That wasn't before that I thought maybe I have a problem. It was after that. And so that also helped me to realize, okay, you have some choices to make. And I think whenever we present ourselves with some choices, and also we say, hey, I need some new skills, right? Then that's when if we want to call it magic happens, but the skills are what help us get better. And I'm sure you've heard this quote. I heard it recently and I saw it recently. It's not new, but it's life. Don't wish for life to get easier. Wish for you to get better, because life isn't going to get easier.
No, growth is painful. Change is painful. Staying the same is painful. Choose where you want your pain at. And I think, Kristen, if you get to the point that you literally want to go pull out your hair, scream outside, bang your head up against the wall,
do it.
It's because you're growing.
Oh, it is, for sure.
And it's like when you get to that point, instead of going into why me, why does a victim mode, right? Why does this have to be so hard? I just want to go crawl under a rock. It's like, congratulations.
You have arrived.
You're choosing your pain, because growth is painful. Staying the same is painful. So it's like you're choosing where you want the pain to be at. Growing is going to be painful, because how does change take place? When the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Exactly. That's how growth takes effect. And so it's like, congratulations, you're leveling up. And it is going to seem hard. But 3 years down the road, 2 years down the road, you're going to be saying, you know what? I am so glad, like 2025, I just kept to myself, hid from social media. I won my time back, right? And I put that time into me, because damn, I'm enjoying 2026 or 2027. Right. And this is what I tell my people, like, if you're spending too much time on social media, what are you missing in your life? Because you're giving time as like our bank account. You're just giving money freely away all the time. And you're giving it to Instagram and you're giving it to TikTok, all this wasted time that it's like, where's your husband when you're spending all this time? Or where are your
Have
kids?
we ever talked about the 5 resources? Okay. So we have 5 resources. Okay. So we have money, which is replenishable, even though
Yep.
people don't think it is, right? We have attention,
Okay.
which is replenishable through rest and recuperation. We have energy, which is replenishable through rest, right?
Okay.
So we have money, attention, energy. We have space, which we can buy more space or declutter our space. And then we have time. Time is the only one that we don't get back. So space, you buy more, right? Money, you can make more, or you can invest, and there are different ways, right? So attention and energy are the 2 ones that are renewable through rest, relaxation, focus, that kind of thing. And time is the only one that is not replenishable. And that is the one, and I'm sure you've heard the thing, and I forget how many seconds it is a day. If somebody gave you this, how would you spend it? And the thing is, that's the thing a lot of times we're most wasteful with is time. And that's the one resource we don't get back. And it's the one thing that I think we don't value. So when I think of learning, like I'm a lifelong learner, like it doesn't matter degrees or anything like that, but I'm a voracious learner. I love to learn. It wasn't the same when I was in my 20s, I'll tell you that, but I love to learn. And that is something that I see with a lot of people and I'll tell a lot of my clients, because a lot of what I do is psychoeducation. So I'm like, listen, yes, you want coaching, you want this, but you've got to learn how. And one of the foundations of what I teach is know thyself, know yourself, because you're going to be different than I am, than this person, than this person. So just like our macros are going to be different, you may have a nurse that works at night. Like her schedule is going to be different. I may have somebody who works a 3 to 11 shift, right? Or somebody who has 6 kids versus somebody who has no kids, and somebody who has 3 cats, right? Somebody who's married or somebody who's divorced. Like everybody's going to have different lifestyles. But when we come back to time, we all have the same time in a day, but then we have to either subtract or adjust for what are our responsibilities? What are our values indicate, right? What are we spending money on? The other thing that I'll talk about with my clients is there's a Netflix show called, the guy's name is Ramit Sethi. He's like a financial consultant or something. And he had a book called I'll Teach You to Be Rich. And he has a Netflix show. I think it may be Teach Me to Be Rich or I'll Teach You to Be Rich. But the reason for that is he talks about how so many people, when you were talking about Starbucks, so many people are doing the Starbucks and then they're like, oh, I can't afford this. But their values, do you really want the Starbucks? If you've never seen the show, I think it's a great show, but it plays into where is it that we place our value? So he also says, look, there's no shame if this is what you value. But then what are the other things that are going to have to go by the wayside? And so what I see a lot of times in the work that I do is that people will say, okay, well, I value this or I value that. And a lot of times they'll be spending on things that they're not using, or they say that they have this value for health. And it's almost like they're not really understanding. So I think about things of investment. So what's the investment in your learning? If you're with me for a year, which yes, that may sound like a long time, but if you're with me for a year and you learn these skills, what are the dividends, the ROI, the return on investment that's going to make? If somebody's with you for a year, how much of an investment is that? Because you're up-leveling your skill set. So nobody's going to take away your surgery, right? But these skills, once you learn them and once you have them, essentially, they're not going anywhere. Can you forget skills? Yes. But you can also go, oh, right, where's that workbook that I downloaded? Yeah. Or what about this? You always will have a reference to those skills or tools. And so when I hear people say, oh, I can't afford this or I can't afford that, and then on social media, they're on this $5,000 vacation and then belly aching over their regain. I don't even know, but we're all on social media. They're on some bariatric cruise somewhere, or they're like doing this or doing that. You're not learning the skills that you need. You can have fun. Go have fun. But are you investing in the things that are going to level you up? Or are you investing things like, I don't know that I would say it's an investment, but we were talking about alcohol. Back in the day, I was talking about I haven't drank, but what are they, $10 a drink? Yeah. Starbucks is $10 a pop. Like what? I mean, it's $5 for a coffee, but if you're having something else with it, that's $10. So when we look at the financial investment, it's not just the caloric investment. Like, what is it showing up in our body? What are the investments in time, in energy, in attention, in space, and then in money? But then how are you investing in yourself? And this is the thing that I don't think many people think of is for a lot of people, surgery, like we paid out of pocket for surgery. This is not a shame or anything like that. Like you could have had surgery done by insurance, whatever. Do you value it? Do you value it? Because I know whenever I've overeaten my pouch, because it has happened, my husband talks about it like the Civic. He's like, because it costs as much as a Honda Civic. He's right. Civic is work. And so it has been an investment. And all of the work I've done has been not only to protect my health as an investment, but my pouch. So when we think about those things, I think this is such a great tie up into our conversation is what are the resources that we're using? Because it can help to reduce regain, right? It can help to have a greater understanding of ourselves. Where are we placing not just social media, but our time, our attention, our energy, our money? Because it's all is an investment in ourselves, or is it just, are we blowing it?
Yeah. And that's the thing is every day after you have weight loss surgery, you need to practice gratitude with it. You can never lose the gratitude with it, whether you are insurance or self-pay. You always have to practice gratitude because think of the millions that are behind you that can't have it. They can't afford it. Their insurance won't approve it. You are one of the lucky ones.
Absolutely.
So you have to practice gratitude with it. And therefore, with the surgery, became a higher level of responsibility. And
that you may or may not have been ready for, but it came.
Yeah, exactly. You just thought the surgery was going to solve all your weight loss problems and it was going to solve all your life problems and you were going to live life happy. And that was it. You didn't realize like, oh yeah. And with this surgery, I got a pink box of shit that I opened up 5 years later that I didn't know was coming. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. And I think like a lot of conversations don't happen on social media like this. Okay, let's get real about the surgery. Like we get caught up with all these social media influencers who are only a few years out and they're making all these hundreds of thousands of dollars off their views and schlepping codes at you and their discount codes to this and that. And we start valuing their life more than we start and their success more than we start valuing our life and our success. So we're living through them instead of saying, you know what? Okay, I'm not giving them any more of my time and attention. They're just, yeah, they've had great success and I'm happy for them, but I want some of that. So I'm going to pull back a little bit and I'm going to start really taking Tosha and Kristen's advice and I'm going to start investing that time into figuring it out. And like they told me, it is going to be hard and it is going to be uncomfortable. And I'm not always going to want to do this, but that's okay. I'm going to get my time back. I'm going to win my time back and start winning my life back one day and 1 pound at a time.
So I wanted to ask you this before we close. What is your philosophy of winning? Since winning at Regain is what your business is about. What is your philosophy for winning and what does that mean long-term?
I looked at it different. I used to think winning was just the scale, right? Mm-hmm. And as you go get on the scale and it's like, yes, I'm a winner today. I lost weight. You go to get on the scale 2 days later. I'm a loser today. I gained. What the heck? I stuck to my plan. I did everything I was supposed to do. The scale went up. There's fluctuations that happen with salt intake and hormonal and all these things that we don't have control of. But what we do have control of is the input that goes into that scale. And all the scale is output. It's just giving us a number, but we use
data.
Yeah, it's just data. And so what I think about now is winning is everything I'm doing to really win at life. But it's not just winning at life, Kristen, it's winning my life back. Yes. I still am winning my life back. But then as I'm winning my life back, I'm also winning at my current life. So that's what I look at it now. Like, how am I winning today? How am I going to win? I can't tell you how I'm going to win next week. I have no idea. Next week we could have to put our dog down and it could just be a shitty ass week. How am I going to win today?
But how you may win next week if that were to happen, right? Because is that your winning will be taking care of yourself emotionally through that process and grieving that loss because you have those skills. right?
Yeah.
And you're going to acquire new skills through that process. So I think, not to jump ahead, but none of us are raising our hand for chaos and crisis. Nobody's like,
Right.
hey, can I get a side of chaos and crisis? Nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants that. But do we have the skill set to deal with it?
Yeah. And that's the thing is now I look at it like, I guess I look at winning more like, how am I going to take care of myself today? How am I going to take care of my emotional needs so that when I get ready for bed and I lay my head on my pillow, I can feel good about the day and my choices, and I'm not waking up full of a bunch of regrets. Because when I was in full addiction mode, oh God, the next morning, what do I need to delete off social media? What happened, right?
Yeah.
I want to feel like that I'm living my life, however many years I have left on earth, to the highest version of myself that I'm capable of today in 2025. Because if you talk to me, if we were to do the same podcast, 26, let's do a podcast again. I bet you and I are both going to grow, right? So we're going to have
totally different.
This conversation is going to completely evolve. And I think that's really what winning is about. Like, how do I want to feel good today? You know, how do I want to feel about myself today? It could be like, I had a difficult conversation with somebody that I was able to have, and it went a lot better than expected. Or I was able to have this conversation and I haven't been able to do this like in prior years. You know, maybe it's something I avoided. Okay, I won at that. Maybe it was I closed down the kitchen. It's been a rough day. You know, our dog's sick. We're living every day with uncertainty, but I'm still closing the kitchen. And it's hard right now. Like sometimes I do want to go snack because it's like, what do you do with this energy that's getting built up? You know, because your fur babies become like your babies, right? It brings up a lot. And I'm winning at that. Maybe it's, I opened up my membership today. So I'm winning at that. You know, do I have everything 100% in my membership? No, because I'm still bringing on some things, but that's okay. I opened it up to people because people need the help now.
Yeah.
I'm winning at that. So what can I feel good about today? And because there's some days that I felt like when I was losing my whole regain, like there was some days, Kristen, like I felt like I didn't have anything that I felt good about. Mm-hmm. And that didn't feel good because that's not the type of person I am. I'm a happy, smiley, outgoing, can hold a conversation with a stranger type of person. So to feel like that was not a good feeling at all. And then there comes a bunch of negative thoughts. And so I look at it like thing that puts a smile on your face is winning. Anything that puts a smile on your face is winning. It could be like making somebody else feel good. And it made you feel good, made you smile. That's winning. It could be closing down the kitchen. It could be going to the grocery store, not buying the Snickers bar. It could be holding a door open for a stranger and they said thank you and it made you feel good. Or somebody complimented you on your shoes and that put a smile on your face. Congratulations, you won because you chose the cute shoes, right? Yeah. Anything that puts a smile on your face that makes you feel good is winning. And that's the way you have to look at when you look at winning your life back and winning at life. That's what you have to keep. And it's going to get tough at sometimes. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's like, welcome to life.
Welcome to life.
Choose your pain. Where do you want the pain to lie in? And for me, I don't want to stay the same. I want to be like you. I am not a book reader. I like Audible.
Oh, Audible's good. Yeah.
But I cheat. I buy the book and get Audible and let Audible read to me. I do enjoy learning like that. But that's what I look at. Okay. I would rather my pain be in growth than staying the same. Yeah. Because that means, guess what? I'm winning, and talk to me next year and I could have 1,000,001 positive thing, like just from this podcast, right? Could open the door to 1,000,000 different things like I never knew. Of course. You never know when you're going to hit the jackpot. So that's what it means to me today. 3 years ago, winning was just like, if I could just get through the day, if I could just get through the hour, if I could just get through the week. Now winning is bring it. I can handle it. I got a new skill set. Like I'm a little bit more confident today than I was 3 years ago.
It's a level up.
Yeah.
So where can people find you? I'll share this information in the show notes, but where can people find you on social? What's your website?
So I am rebranding everything to the Regain Coach. So if you go to the regaincoach.com, if you at the Regain Coach, I'm going to change my YouTube over to the Regain Coach. TikTok, I'm just starting TikTok. You guys, I'm learning to.
I have not mastered TikTok.
Instagram, I am just like, because I've been on Facebook primarily and I've always had followers there, but I need to expand out. So I'm relabeling everything under the Regain Coach. And so they can find me all over social media. My website redirects to the Regain Coach.
Awesome.
So very transparent on there. That's what I deal with.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. You can find Tosha at the Regain Coach. Thank you for joining me today. And I know we talked about doing another episode in a couple months, and I'm so excited to have you back. So everybody find Tosha at theregaincoach.com and at the Regain Coach. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone. Lots of love.